Fersan in the Field, Real Issues, Real Solutions is brought to you by Newport-Fersan Jamaica Limited, the first on the land.
It's now time for Fersan in the Field, Real Issues, Real Solutions. This morning we're joined by Sajae Jones and m.gooden. And of course, we do look forward to engaging them in quite a bit of conversation this morning about how it is that you grow a successful onion crop. And let me greet first Sajae Jones, who is agronomist out of Zone 3. Good morning, Sajae. How are you?
Good morning, Althea. Good morning, listeners. I'm fine. Thank you. And how are you?
I am great. Good to have you on with us. Also joining us, m.gooden, agronomist and technical sales consultant for Zone 4. Murphy, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning, Althea. I'm doing fine. Good morning, our listeners.
Good to have you on as well. Gentlemen, let me just start first by establishing the challenges you have noticed the farmers having as a result of the recent heavy rainfall. Sajae, what has it been looking like in your area?
Well, with the recent heavy rainfalls, we've been having a lot of fungal outbreaks, but farmers are adhering to their pest control protocols and are putting things in place to combat this. And we urge other farmers to follow suit to use systemic fungicides to control these problems that are outbreaking.
Okay. And Murphy, what is it looking like in your area?
Well, in my area out here, we're getting a lot of rainfall. I basically cover the parishes of Trelawny, St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland, and I must say we're getting a lot of rainfall right throughout here.
Well, has been a difficult period. I had a farmer earlier on, a coffee farmer, who was saying that as a result of the heavy rainfall, they really are just there in his region looking at the berries falling off the plants, and unfortunately we're seeing quite a bit of that, not just with coffee but with other crops as well. All right, but we're turning the spotlight this morning, gentlemen, on onion production and how it is that we help our farmers to be successful in terms of their onion crop. In fact, the focus this morning is entitled Route to a Successful Onion Crop. Let me start with you in terms of what is going on. What is the, Sajae, how has the current agricultural landscape impacted onion crop production? Or is it Murphy that is supposed to take that? I believe it's Murphy. Go ahead, Murphy.
Okay, out here. All right, now, when you take a look at the impact out here, this is both marked by progress and also challenges that our farmers are going through. So, just by taking a look at the 2-year plan, just within the last 2 years, we've observed that over 10.5 million of onion was basically consumed by our Jamaicans locally. Now, when you take a look at that number, 13% of the 10.5 million, those were basically produced by our local farmers. Now, even though this number is steadily climbing, we're seeing that over 9 million kg have still been imported on a yearly basis. Now, if you should take a look at the value, how much is this really taking? We're seeing that it basically takes over 1 billion Jamaican dollars to basically import this quantity into the island. So even though our farmers are constantly getting better at growing the crop, there are some issues that still exist. And these issues basically include soil management. It also includes pest and disease control, and it also entails water management as well out here. So these are some of the few issues that our farmers are going through at the moment and the progress that they've made.
Generally though, I don't know if you have the figures or just can simply comment on it. How have we done in onion production within the last 5 years? I know that we're still importing more than we should, and you pointed that out. But are we anywhere any closer to being overall self-sufficient in onion production?
Well, I must say also that we are still not where we need to be. So therefore, we need to put in the work that is needed to get us to where we want to go. So even though our farmers are constantly getting better at it, we still need to put in the work to get to where we really need to be.
All right, thank you so very much for that, Murphy. And let me come to you now, Sajae. I want to find out about the whole issue of land preparation, because I understand that this is a very important part of the process of agriculture generally. But for onion production, I want to get a little bit more of the specifics of land preparation and why it is important for our farmers.
Indeed, indeed. It is the foundation on which we produce our crops, as we all know. It would usually involve land clearing, plowing, harrowing, rotivating, bed shaping. These are all done to provide the best environment for growth. What we should know is that the bed should be flat and at least 6 to 8 inches high to provide proper drainage for the onions. For onion, land preparation is very critical, especially if the crop is to be direct seeded, as this must result in a soil that is fine and crumbly, fine tilt and crumbly. Drains should also be constructed to prevent water logging of the fields. The stale bed technique is highly recommended. Onions have few leaves and are slow growing, thus they cannot tolerate a lot of weeds in the early stages. The first third of the crop is a critical period, and it is a critical period and efficient. Sorry, it is a critical period and and weed management must be taken seriously in these. As I said, it is slow growing in the early stages and it has few leaves. So if you don't have proper land preparation in terms of stale bed technique, then you'll have a lot of weed growth competing with these few leaves for sunlight and thus inhibiting the plant from producing properly to enable it to bulb to the size bulbs that you want.
So land preparation is significantly important. How it is that the farmers prepare can determine to a large extent their outcome. Now, what about the variety selection, the selection in terms of the variety of onions, generally, but specific to the different areas? Because I have a sense, Sajae, that different types of onions will do better in different parts of the island.
Yes, yes. Well, what we want to look at when it comes down to onion variety is actually the day length, right? So onions are classified into 3 classes: intermediate, long day, and short day, right? This will determine the bulb formation. The day length determines the bulb formation, right? So for the short day, it is typically less than 12 hours. Intermediate is 12 to 14 hours, and long day onions are 14 hours. So what this means is that the amount of sunlight that you get will determine the onion variety that you select, right? So the average monthly hours between March 12 and September 26 is 12.7 hours. And this is best suited for the intermediate types. Then the short day onions will produce better between September 12 and March 11 with an average sunshine of 11 and a half hours, right? This is the Jamaica's sunshine note doesn't normally exceed 14 hours, resulting in the long day onions not being grown here. Because we only get up to about 12.7 hours of daylight, we either grow the intermediate or the short day onion. When it comes on to the period between October to December, we'd want to choose a variety such as the Super X or the Texas Early Grana. And for March to April planting, we would use the Orlando or the Cabrera or the Yellow Granix.
Okay. Let me bring Murphy in, because Murphy, I don't want you to think that I'm leaving you out of this conversation at all. In light of the changing weather patterns, what issues should farmers be on the lookout for, Murphy? I know it's a tough one, because from 1 month to the next, we're not it can't really determine what is going to happen as a result of the changing weather patterns.
Yes, out here. No. One of the challenges that our farmers need to pay attention to is water management. No, it is estimated that an acre of onion actually needs approximately 500 gallons throughout the crop life cycle, which is around 100 to about 110 days. Now, there are two key stages out here that the crop needs that good amount of water. Now, at the germination stage, the crop is going to need water. And at the bulbing stage, it will also need that good level of water. Now, in any case, you find that a crop of onion is not getting as much water as all that crop should get. What you'll find happening is that you'll have issues when it comes down to bulbing. So you'll find that the bulbing will basically be very poor, and this dry weather or this not enough water will basically affect the quantity or the yield that a farmer will get. Now, a similar issue also exists in the case where the farmer is putting on too much water or because of too much rain. What you'll find happening is that there'll be a lot of issues when it comes on to the root rotting issues as well. Now, not only that, but because of the weather condition, because it's constantly changing, 1 minute it's really hot, and the next minute we're getting a lot of rain. What you'll find also happening is that this will basically affect or basically increase the pests and diseases that exist within the field. Now, in warmer temperature and fluctuating humidity, what you'll find happening is that there will be a buildup of thrips, purple blotch, and also the downy mildew as well out here. Now, not only that, in cases where the plants are experiencing stress because of too much heat, what you find happening, as I said earlier, is going to affect or reduce the bulb size. So what you find happening is that when a farmer was supposed to get, say for example, 30 to 60,000 pounds, that yield is going to be severely affected because of this heat stress that the farmer or the plant is going through. And because we're getting a lot of rain now out here, we're going to have to pay keen attention to the soil health. Now, as you know, depending on the topography of the land, once you're getting too much rain, what you'll find happening is that you'll have leaching taking place. Or what you find happening is that the fertility that's within the soil can possibly be reduced as a result of this leaching that's taking place. So again, as it relates to the changing weather pattern, the farmers need to pay keen attention to your weather app or your weather reports. So it's important that they pay attention and they adapt based on the coming weather conditions that exist.
All right. So very important information being shared with our farmers this morning. Gentlemen, we're at our first break. Let's take that, and then when we come back, we're going to take a look at the solutions, and we'll also introduce to the conversation a farmer, Cleon Fagan, out of the parish of St. Thomas.
Farmers, you can now prevent and cure fungal diseases with Eradicate Systemic Fungicide from Newport-Fersan, Jamaica Limited. Eradicate is effective against rust in coffee, citrus, sugarcane and peanut, black and yellow secatoka, early blight, mildews, purple blotch in onions, and other fungal diseases. Get your Eradicate at your nearest farm store or at the Newport-Fersan office, 2A2B Worry Wharf Complex. Stay in control with Eradicate.
We're inside the feature, Fersan in the Field, Real Issues, Real Solutions. And this morning, our focus is on onion production, the route to a successful onion crop. With us, Sajae Jones and m.gooden. And we say good morning as well to Cleon Fagan, farmer out of the parish of St. Thomas. Mr. Fagan, good morning. How are you?
Morning. I'm doing fine this morning.
Good to have you on with us. And I'll come back to you in just a couple of minutes. But let me get
Fine.
to Sajae. Sajae, what actions has Newport-Fersan taken to aid farmers in land preparation?
Well, the action that we as a company have taken is the development of our field appraisal tool, right? This tool is used to assess the state of your field. When it comes down to onion crop production, we will use our soil compaction meter in order to test the soil tilt to see how well the onion will be able to access the soil, to see if it is soft enough for the onion to grow within it. At this stage of our assessment, we would normally recommend that farmers do a soil test. Why? We always preach a soil test. As with any crop, onions need the proper nutrient balance, right? So during the soil test, we'll be able to assess your nutrient level, your cation exchange capacity, and your soil pH, right? The soil pH is of the utmost importance. We always preach this, that the soil pH determines how well your plant is able to access nutrients. So if the pH is low, then you know that your macronutrients will not be able to be accessed properly. And the reverse obtains where if it is high, the micronutrients won't be able to be accessed properly, right? If your CEC is too low, then you won't be able to access, then the nutrients won't be able to hold on to the soil particles properly. So they will leach away, and with this in mind, we will be able to create programs in a way to allow for the nutrients to stay within the soil for the periods that they need to be within the soil and for the plants to be able to access the nutrients, right? We also offer on-site soil pH testing where we can give you your soil pH instantly. So we can be able to allow for you to prepare your land properly, because if the soil pH is off, let's say your soil pH is high, sitting at 8, then we know that the micronutrients won't be able to be accessed properly. And if you go ahead and prepare your land and plow and harrow and all these things, and you plant your seeds without adjusting the soil pH, then your crop production will be in problem. But with our on-site soil pH testing, then we'll be able to say, hey, use some sulfursan and put it on your field, and then you'll be able to access these nutrients that you're going to put on at a later date to increase your productivity.
All right, thank you so very much for that. You know, you mentioned soil tilth, and we don't talk about it, I think, often enough. And I wonder, though, whether or not in doing the work that you're doing in terms of that soil testing, you're also then able to advise the farmer about the soil tilth as well.
Well, as I was saying before, the soil tilt, what we would use is a soil compaction meter. So we have a device that we would just use. We go out into the field, we'll stick it into the ground, and then that will give us a reading to speak whether your land was prepared properly. So we can say, hey, you need to have the tractor man do another pass on this piece here because it's not properly plowed enough, it's not properly harrowed, not properly bedded. So we know whether or not the land can accommodate the crop that you're seeking to put in properly. So these are some tools that the agronomist will travel to whenever you request a visit, or if we are just in the area passing through and we see you preparing, we'll always stop. We'll offer these services free of charge, along with other information. We are always out there seeking to aid our farmers in better preparing their land for production and productivity.
Good. Thank you so very much, Sajae. And let me bring Mr. Fagan in. Mr. Fagan, good morning once again. First of all, let me establish how long you have been in farming. How long have you been a farmer?
Over 25 years.
Oh, that's a good long time. And when you decided to enter the sector, what prompted you to do that?
Wow. It's a long story. I always want to...
It's the short version of what, though?
Okay. It's very good. It's excellent. I love to do farming. I see people do it. I love to plant. So I take up that channel.
So it was a natural thing for you because of your love of plants. And when you started out 25 years ago, did you start with onions or did you start with other crops?
No, I started with other crops. cantaloupe,
What kind of crop are you
cabbage,
growing then?
cantaloupe and cabbage and
Ah.
okra.
And how did you do with those?
It was good for me when I used to plant them, but for now I'm just doing my onion at this time.
Okay.
They offer
Well,
some
I hear
but
that St. Thomas is onion capital these days. Is that what
yeah,
prompted you to get in a recognition that onions grow well in the parish?
I tried once. I tried before, but it used to be years ago. Because when I used to learn my trade with somebody, Mr. Dunn, he used to plant it. Alan, all those people used to plant it years ago. So I used to see them plant it. So I used to say, wow, I would want to do that. When they used to plant it
Okay.
for AMC, they used to call it AMC when they used to sell it for AMC to AMC.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I know MC
Yes.
and the work that used to be done there. All right. So tell us a little bit about this relationship that you have with Newport-Fersan and how the use of their precise nutrient management system has impacted your onion production.
The products are excellent. When I use it, the products are very good. It gave me a very good yield. Very good yield. I got very good yield from my onion crop. The production for my onion is very good when I use the product. It gives me
It's absolutely fantastic.
that boost that I will always use it's 1428. I use 1122. The yield booster now it's excellent product to use. I like to use Fersan product.
So they do for you exactly what you expect them to do, which is to increase the quality and the yield. Because
And
of course,
the yield.
of course, those are two very important factors in terms of the onions that you're able to bring to market, and that increases your ability to earn more, right?
On my production, yeah. And
Fantastic. Let me bring
so
Murphy
far,
back in. Murphy, I would imagine that in much the same way that you're working along with Mr. Fagan, there are other farmers that you're working with in onion production. What are some of the steps that you, as a company, Newport-Fersan, you have taken to aid farmers in the fight against? Because that now is another issue that we have to confront. But comment first of all on what it is that Mr. Fagan has said about the approach taken with the assistance of Newport-Fersan.
Okay, Althea. Now, one of the things that we do at Newport-Fersan, we definitely try our very best to maintain and have a relationship with our farmers. Now, one of the things that, especially when it comes down to this specific crop out here, it is super sensitive. So that means that if a farmer spots an issue, as soon as that issue is spotted, we want that farmer to basically reach out to us as soon as possible. Now, maintaining this type of relationship basically ensures that the farmer is on par in doing what they're supposed to do with the crop. Now, not only that, we at Newport-Fersan, we have a portfolio of goods and also services that we offer. Now, as mentioned, when it comes down to onion, it is 100% recommended that a farmer do a soil test. So that's one of the services. So once the soil test is basically done by the farmer, then we'll basically create a program that is specific to his or her plot, and what this program will do will basically guide the farmer. Now, we're not saying that this program is basically written in stone, because you have to take into consideration the external factors that exist. Now, we also, as mentioned by Sajae, another service is the usage of our field appraisal tool. So that's basically us visiting the plot and basically grading it. If there's something that needs to be improved, If we observe that this is going to pose a challenge, if we observe that the farmer should switch to this instead of using that, this is what we do. And we basically do it with the aim of always making sure that the farmer wins.
So it is then about getting the farmer to understand that you have to have a plan that guides how it is that you feed your plants. So that is a nutrition system, a plan that guides how it is that you deal with pests and diseases, and that is critical to ensuring that they have a good crop. Mr. Fagan, what are things looking like as you head towards we're in the busy Christmas period. What are you looking like in terms of overall production?
Well, so far we have 3 weeks, 1 week of hard rain. So I tell you, I use this thing, the Victory on it already for fungus. But right now I'm looking for good yield coming for February. Very
Excellent.
Good yield.
So of course you are pushing ahead. You have already supplied the market since the year started and looking ahead now to what will come at the end of this crop. Thank you so very much for sharing with us this morning.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
All right, take care. You too. We're on the break, so we're going to clear that, and then when we come back, we wrap up our conversation with m.gooden and Sajae Jones. We're rounding out our conversation now with Sajae Jones and m.gooden, focused on the route to a successful onion crop. And certainly we've learned quite a bit this morning about the importance of soil preparation. So you're preparing the land to make sure that you have a good crop, but there are certain issues that you have to take into consideration. And as we continue to encourage our farmers to take heart, we know that the challenges are many, but we want to encourage you to just continue to press on. Sajae, in many of the areas that grow onions, do they have to ensure that they have good irrigation systems in place?
Yes. So with onions, what we'd want to do in terms of irrigation is for the first section of the crop, when it deals with germination, we can use overhead sprinklers. But when it comes on to the latter part of the crop, we highly recommend that you switch over to drip irrigation to allow for a low humidity and moisture content to prevent a upbuild of fungal pathogens. In light of that, we would also recommend that you use soluble fertilizer, depending on where you are, of course, and the rainfall that you're experiencing, to grow your crops when it comes on to the part where we recommend that you use the drip irrigation system. We have developed blends. As we're speaking about irrigation and fertigation, we can also talk about some of the blends that we actually have developed that can be used outside of a soil test for your onion crop. We of course speak of the booster line of fertilizer, which is an improved blend, an improved line of fertilizers having the start, the vegetative, and the yield booster. Now these three fertilizers can actually be used to grow your onion crop, using the start booster at the planting stage of the crop. Then 4 weeks after that, we'd move to the vegetative booster, and at 8 weeks, we'd use the yield booster. Now, these fertilizers are blended to ensure that you get that productivity and not just that production that you're seeking when it comes on to your onion crop.
That is important, because as I continue to say on the program, production is one thing, but productivity is another. It is getting the most out of the plot of land that you occupy and on which you're farming. So you can be producing but not having a high level of productivity. So I'm glad you have mentioned that as well. Murphy, what are some of the major pests and diseases that face onion farmers?
Well, in current out there we have the armorworm, which is one of the pests that is basically affecting onions, and we saw a lot of that last year especially. We also have trips, which is another pest that affects onions. There's also the purple blotch, which also affects onion. It's basically a disease. And we have also root rot, which is basically caused by the oversaturation of the soil. And one thing I must say also out there is that each of these pests and diseases that I've named out, we at Newport-Fersan, we also have a product to basically tie in with this, to basically combat these pests and diseases. So for example, when you take a look at the armyworm, for example, we at Newport-Fersan, we have products that basically get rid of this pest, which is the first strike. So the first strike is basically a contact and stomach pesticide, and it's basically aimed at crop pests rather belonging to the Lepidoptera species. We also have Spectra, which is excellent when it comes down to the control of pests such as the aphid, the whitefly, mite, trips, which was mentioned, leaf miner, and among other pests. There is also an next product we have known as Clearway, and it is effective when it comes down to the control against the purple blotch. Now the Clearway is basically a combination of both the mancozeb and carbendazim. It's a systemic fungicide, so it's super effective when it comes on to the control of this out there.
So in your arsenal, quite a number of products that the farmers can rely on to assist them in getting to full production and productivity. And of course, that now goes directly to profitability if they follow to a T, to a letter, everything that you have suggested to them this morning. Sajae, anything that you want to leave with the listeners today? Any final message?
Well, as we always say at Newport-Fersan, we are ready, willing, and able. We have the knowledge, we have the understanding, we have the experience, and we are always wanting for farmers to make contact with us. If you see us on the road, call out to us. You can call us at our office at...
That's 876-967-5815.
I repeat.
That's 876-967-5815.
We are always looking to make that contact with the farmers to help them with their field appraisal, their generation of their AMS program, which would walk them through the production leading to productivity of their crop. Please reach out to us. We are ready to work with you to take your farm to the next level.
Right, very, very important information that you have shared there. And so we thank you so very much for that. Murphy, any closing words from you? Anything in particular that you want to end this conversation on?
Yes, out here. All right. So earlier, Mr. Cleon had mentioned that he uses the yield booster line of fertilizer. So what I just want to close off with is just to also notify our farmers that the yield booster is basically the final step when it comes on to the line of fertilizer that we have. So the yield booster is actually a part of the booster line. So the next time you visit your farm stores or you visit the plant in Kingston, you can also explore the start booster, which is basically used at the starting phase, the vegetative booster, which is used at the vegetative stage of the crop, and the yield booster, as mentioned, is used at the bulbing phase of the crop. So those are my closing remarks out here.
And of course, we do know that those training seminars and sessions in which you engage the farmers can, in their own time, pick those up from your site and just have a go through, see what advice is being offered, and then apply that to their own operations. Gentlemen, thank you both for this morning. I really do appreciate the work that you're all putting in terms of the working with our farmers, and not just in onions, because although we're focused on onions this morning, there are other crops that are getting the attention that they need across the length and breadth of the island. So thank you so very much. Sajae Jones and m.gooden sharing with us this morning in the feature, First-Hand in the Field, Real Issues, Real Solutions. And let us just take a quick word from them before we wrap the show.
First-Hand in the Field, Real Issues, Real Solutions was brought to you by Newport-Fersan Jamaica Limited, the first on the land.